Map 5. It's time for the whole list of islands. RecoN has gone for the predictable choice. Garnath, possibly the best counter to it.
I'm very curious at what Garnath is gonna do, because look at what RecoN is doing. Going for a barrack straight away, curious choice against the French that usually don't go for a Dark Age dock, and we mentioned this before. This Dark Age barracks play is a blind build. You do this before knowing what your opponent is up to. And if Garnath isn't really going for the water here, this isn't really going to pay for its price.
Yeah, and the baby arms aren't really effective at diving, right? They've got 3 missile resistance, but they move slow. They only have 100 health. Not a efficient unit to trade underneath a TC at all. That type of effect from men at arms come much later. And you also have to think about the raw cost of each of these soldiers at this stage in the game compared to your actual income. It's such a burden.
It is a massive cost, if you think about that. You right now have 8 functional villagers, all working on sheep, essentially. So you're gonna have to work your way towards 100 food and 20 gold to be able to afford a single man-at-arms. And it's going to take a lot of time until you get any value for it, because it's gonna take quite a lot of time to reach Garnath's base. And even then, it's questionable how much value exactly you are getting for that investment.
Ideally, RecoN just walks north, spots no dock, and doesn't keep pushing men-at-arms. I think he hurts himself by continuing this. Like, it just doesn't do anything. I mean, wait, actually, no, pause that thought. What are you... I assume this is just for the wheelbarrow, and Garnath is like, I'll hang around for the greed. Because... oh, did he just forget? Like, he definitely didn't forget about this villager. He's killing the deer. What?
What? Whoops. Villager trying to poke down the deer with the spear. He probably just wanted to save up on the villager walking time, because it's a pretty hefty walking distance. And look at that. He's scrambling for gold. He saw the men-at-arms, and he yoinks the gold before the men-at-arms have a chance to deny it from him.
So the person on deer actually worked out, is the weird part. So now he doesn't even necessarily lose any villagers at all. In fairness, 1 MAA is not going to be good enough. However, once this gets up to 3, you can start hemorrhaging villagers on this gold line. And the thing is, Garnath instantly went for wheelbarrow, so he actually delayed his potential feudal timing to get that first.
Yeah, at least he's going to be able to flee from these men-at-arms using the wheelbarrow.
Exactly. That's the thing, right? Like the deer guy's like, he has to come back once I have wheelbarrow. But before that, keep gathering some venison, because I've got quite the taste buds for some premium meat.
Looks like Villager is gonna get away here. Concern for Garnath is the fact that he didn't get enough gold for feudal and a single knight right now. He's sitting at 258. So even if he gets to feudal age, he won't be able to afford a knight right at the beginning, which is giving quite a bit of an advantage here for RecoN. The value in those men-at-arms are actually pretty decent.
And this is the thing I love from RecoN. Notice what he does with the scout. He peels to the east side, because what's the backup option? Garnath could try to sneak to these gold veins on his flanks. He wants to make sure that doesn't happen. And now that Garnath knows there are scouts patrolling like this, he can't risk it either because of how far out from his base it would be.
Yeah, RecoN only has 1 scout though, and you do have gold paths to the right and the left as well, close to the shoreline. So he won't be able to keep an eye out on all of those. But as you're seeing, RecoN is just kind of circling around the base of Garnath, trying to spot villagers that are moving to the north. And indeed, he might actually spot them.
You know, he could actually just make sure the villagers never get out of 1 scout, Lidakor. All you have to do is peel off each of the sheep and stick them in a line. No, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to stop. Don't do that, guys.
Dock was delayed here for RecoN. He went heavy on the men-at-arms, just now starting to pop out fishing ships. For Garnath, though, he can only operate with a horseman here as he reaches feudal age. He won't have that opportunity to just pop out a knight and then start harassing the gold mine of RecoN. That could have been a massive danger, actually, because RecoN doesn't have the gold to go up to castle, or feudal age, rather. And keep in mind, English can't make spearmen in Dark Age. So, a single knight could deny that gold for a long, long time.
Yeah, well, Horseman not as effective. I think like Horseman as a solution to mass men-at-arms at this stage isn't actually that bad though, right? It's tough, it's not as effective as if you had your knights, but it's not the worst option either. So he will get a few Horsemen to start with. I have heard a few players say that they wish that the devs would change the melee armor on Vanguard men-at-arms so that Horsemen and Spears could somewhat compete.
I guess the idea is that you don't want spears to be really good against them. But yeah, horsemen on paper should be able to deal with them. And being honest, it kind of does. It's just the fact that it's also a pricey investment to go for horsemen to deal with them.
Yeah, you have to look at the plus side, downsides, right, with a civ like the English, because the punishment to them getting access to Vanguard men-at-arms is that they can't build spears until feudal, as you just mentioned, right? Like, if your opponent has cavalry, you actually don't have any clear direct counter to it, unless you get to feudal.
That's probably why the design choice was not to give the English the spearmen in Dark Age. Otherwise, spearmen men-at-arms might just be a little too OP in Dark Age.
Horseman finally in. One thing that can feel OP is how far away these gold veins can be, but it looks like RecoN's going to fix that by setting up an outpost. And of course, you can always attack one horseman coming in with the short bows on the villages, and oh no.
Ooh, I think he's going to get it.
Yeah, it's not going to work for Garnath. RecoN's going to move up with the men-at-arms in time, so no chance he gets the dock up. The problem there is Garnath didn't have the wood instantly. Had he built that straight away, possibly he gets it online. At least it looks somewhat competitive that way.
Yeah, these small details not being in the favor of Garnath are hurting him so much. As you said, lacking the wood to build that dock up, but also lacking the gold for a knight. As you said, the villagers can stand and fight against a single horseman. They couldn't have done so against a knight. Just missing out on a tiny bit of gold on Dark Age and having to play horseman instead of the first knight is a massive difference maker when it comes to Garnath's ability of pressuring that gold mine from RecoN.
Hello, honey. Horsemen are on their way to try and find some value. They're going to try to snipe out the dock. Tech up is almost complete. Now, this is going to be tight as to whether he can get a galley out in time. The problem is these MAA are patrolling, looking for the dock, so they can't prioritize the horsemen right now. In fact, if he does, he might allow Garnath to get on the water. He's going to sneak a midpoint dock here.
Oh. And this is something you have to be prepped for if you are facing the French. The French don't want the dock back at home to make hawks on. Hawks are just disgustingly slow. You need the dock in the middle to be able to reach the enemy dock in time with your hawks.
I mean, just imagine this game right now if RecoN had instead put palisades around that dock.
Yep.
He doesn't have to worry, right? He could have just kept patrolling the men-at-arms, and he would have spotted this dock out before it went up.
Funnily enough, he played his set yesterday on this map as well, and he did place his dock in a corner and walled it off. That time around wasn't needed, decided not to wall it off this time, and it's gonna get burned down to the ground. It's gonna be lit on fire. If you can yoink the villager, you might just let it burn.
Oh. Galley is going to come out.
You gotta commit.
To tap the hammer. Yeah, you have to commit. You have to burn it down, so at least you can stop additional galleys coming out. But it's going to be pricey for you. Each of these horsemen going down has 120 resources gone. He has to hang around long enough that several of them will be fallen.
Value is great, though. 3 horsemen gone, sure thing, but you also picked off a villager, destroyed the dock now, and your hawks are coming in, and you're only facing 1 galley. That's the big thing. You slow down the galley production, so you essentially guarantee that your single hawk is going to win the water.
One good detail from RecoN there, he prioritized the scout instead of another horseman, so that Garnath couldn't see another villager being pulled for the dock. So he doesn't know where the new dock's going to come up, but yeah, this is problematic, because Garnath, he went so greedy on the gold. If you look, you can see he can now afford both French knights and hawks to control both navy and land.
And the big difference between a hawk and a galley in Feudal Age is that hawks deal with docks much faster. If you win the water with galleys, it's going to take forever for you to take down the enemy docks. Not so much if you win with hawks.
Yeah, it's 6 damage versus 50.
Yes.
That's what's going through the ranged armor.
So, yeah, not only will you use your fishing ships, you might also lose your docks, but you could also lose villagers here if you're not cautious, if you're Garnath.
That's a cool play by RecoN, actually, to commit the spears, because there's no way that Garnath can afford archers on top of everything else that he's building right now. He's going to try to go into archery range, but this is going to slow down either the Hulk production or the Knights.
Wood is a limitation. You are spending it on hawks, and as you said, he's heavily committed towards the gold and food, so he can afford hawks with the gold, and of course the Knights as well. So he really can't afford to spend a lot of villagers on wood, meaning that he's going to struggle to add additional production buildings.
This is a bad fight for Garnath to take. Now, in theory, a Hulk should beat a Galley one-on-one, but what you have to remember is you can't do the Dance of Life as the Hulk there. Because if you do, you risk attacking the buildings instead.
Yeah, he's going to try to do so now, trying to pull away, but...
Oh my, it's so micro-intensive, right? Because you have to turn the Hulk and then instantly click the target.
Yeah, one has to wonder whether it would have been better to just go for fishing ships, sail out in the open, spin around there, and then you either pick off fishing ships or the enemy combat ships. At least you're not targeting the dock.
Flash on land. A lot of Knights coming out. Too many for the spear to address right now. So RecoN, because of his investment hard into Galleys, now up to 3 going up to 4 soon, it means he is surrendering land control over to Garnath.
And this is a big difference between this French and the French that we commonly see on this map. Usually, as you said, you can't afford Hawks and Knights together. And players will just prioritize the Hawks to save their own fishing eco. But Garnath has no fishing eco. He doesn't really care that much about the water. He's just gonna go one Hawk and spend all his resources on land army after that. Has quite a lot of Knights now to harass his enemy with.
How fitting after what we said in the pre-game. He's got nothing to live for is exactly the kind of motto of his naval side right now. Nothing to protect. They're willing to go deep as it takes to get some value. Oi, galley count. Now up to 4. RecoN, you mentioned it before, that the problem he now has compared to the Hawks is, yeah, he's winning Navy, but now he has to keep investing because it takes a long time to get rid of these docks that are always threatening. It's
actually worse than that for RecoN. If you look at the overall eco, it's actually better for Garnath. And what can RecoN do with those galleys? There is nothing on the water for Garnath to destroy. Well, or on Garnath's sides to destroy. He can't cut into that eco deficit by just sniping fish from his opponent. So those galleys are next to useless, whereas these knights, they are ready to pay for their price.
Assault's coming in towards the wood line now. Only 3 knights though, so needs to be careful how he uses these. The spearmen could counter him out. However, the villagers are being somewhat sacrificed. Knights bait themselves in though. Bad exchange, especially with the attack speed aura there for the English. Mistakes were definitely made by Garnath. Looks like he's just going to commit the knights and get nothing additional out of it. 3 knights go down and they kill what? 1 villager? Maybe 2?
He went a little too bloodthirsty there. He was distracted by this micro. That's what's happened there.
Oh god. This investment in Hawks, I actually think has now crippled him. He's even doubling down and going for more, which why? You're so far behind in terms of naval force now.
I don't understand it. The entire concept should have been that the ecos are even, so he doesn't really need to push the enemy fishing eco because it's not like he has to cut into the eco deficit. He had good eco. All he needed to do is just make sure that RecoN keeps investing into water and he just goes full land and smashes his land-based eco, but he didn't really do that now, and now he's facing significant problems, to be honest.
Yeah, and now RecoN's down to smash 5 galleys on the offensive towards what he's assuming is going to be a fishing eco. Bad news for him, no targets here other than 1 villager. A Hawk is coming out soon though, and actually that's bad for Garnath because it's just another big chunk of resources invested. 540 resources into something that's going to probably once again lose and just give more value over to what RecoN already has in existence.
I don't even understand this 1 Hawk at the back. Like, it would take forever for this guy to sail up to the dock of RecoN anyways. So the only purpose of this would be to protect the fishing eco, but that is non-existent for Garnath. Yeah, he's going to trade it off at least, so resource-wise it wasn't terrible, but I just don't see the value in this Hawk.
It stays alive. They were both 1 tap, so he'll get value more than he should. RecoN got gluttonous there, pushing all 4 low health in range. And all of a sudden, Garnath may be a breath of life because he also produced a 2nd Hulk out in the midfield. RecoN jumped the gun.
Yeah, he did. Now, Garnath needs to capitalize on those Hawks, because as much as he won that battle, that Hawk sitting back at home isn't going to do any good for him, and he's adding more. He needs to destroy the fishing eco now. If he's insisting on investing this much into the water, he needs to do damage on the water. Otherwise, this is not paying off.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Lidakor. I think if RecoN loses this one, his fans are going to blame you for the caster curse on that one. That was 4 galleys going down to 1 hole. Good lord. That just pivoted things, because now RecoN has to reinvest onto the Navy side, which is unfortunate for him, because if he didn't lose those ships, he probably could have been on his way to castle already.
Yeah, this is dangerous for RecoN, because he has to reinvest into water while also piling up resources for castle. This could leave him very much exposed on land over here.
That massive troop is going to be a problem, especially if RecoN decides to go into siege engineering. We could do some perma damage, but it looks like Garnath is trying to match the raids. Instead, he's going to have to turn around and make his way back to base, because I do feel like more damage could be done on the other side here, because realistically, RecoN could just park himself indefinitely.
RecoN got scared though. He saw the knights, he's pulling back all his forces, so his potential to do damage on that exposed gold mine is going to be reduced to none. He could have picked off 5-6 vills here, decided to play this a little bit more passively, a little bit more defensive, but that means that Garnath dodges a bullet with that exposed gold mine.
However, RecoN is going to be the first to tech up. Garnath, because he just got an edge on the waterfront, he's investing even more, now up to 3 Hulks, but guys, I don't know if you know this, but you can sail across to the enemy compound. It is allowed in the rules, Mr. Hulks, because 3 of them are just passively parked in the mid-map doing nothing.
Yeah, the worst thing that you can do is make army that does nothing. He's waiting for additional sails to come in, but it still takes like 30 seconds more. And then he still needs to sail there. And while he's doing that, RecoN is on the way to Castle Age, and once he gets there, he will have his own Hawks available, plus a second town center working on land. The window here for Garnath is shrinking. He needs to make something happen very soon, preferably on the water with those Hawks.
That's the only way you can fight. You can't fight on land. Your army is mismatched here, especially with attack speed aura. I mean, you can see the confidence RecoN builds the landmark in sight. He doesn't care if Garnath knows. Of course, we can see Garnath doesn't due to the lack of scouts, but it's irrelevant at this stage because of how strong RecoN's composition is.
Yeah, Garnath will try to add a second TC himself to at least match the villager numbers or worker numbers of his opponent, but now he needs to move after those Hawks. Still not targeting the dock straight away. In fact, he's flanking around to the north. What is he up to? What?
I think he's just going to try to cut off the fishing entirely, right?
Yeah, it looks like he just goes for a fish snipe. Maybe he's afraid that RecoN is going to have Hawks by the time he arrives. Maybe he's afraid that he has more Galleys. But he's losing so much time over here with this. You see, RecoN got away with a lot of fishing despite him having so many Hawks on the field for quite a while.
RecoN snitching. He finds out about the TC as it's being built up. Meanwhile, Garnath wasting a lot of time wrapping around. Yes, that is a wall. But yes, Wait, no. Was that a gap? For the love of God, tell me that was not a gap. It doesn't matter. He's just going to torch through the wood line instead. It's going to take some time, though. Not that many knights here. He's looking at the gap as well. He's as suspicious as I am. It looks like it is at least covered. Sometimes these palisades can be incredibly scary.
Especially when you have a bunch of longbows standing behind with the attack aura. That's the difference maker there. Garnath doesn't want to throw away his army because he found the resources he needed for Castle Age, and he's gonna go up with the Royal Institute. He already has 7 knights out there, so he definitely wants to preserve those until Royal Bloodlines comes in, and that could be the difference maker.
Galleys and Hawks ready to party. I do believe Sails is one side. I'm not sure about the other. In fact, I think they're about even on speed. But the Hulk count in favor of Garnath may give him the edge here. The Galleys did tank a lot of fire. And we'll even up the trade somewhat, but overall, Garnath actually getting decent bang for buck here.
Yes, sails are there for Garnath, not so much for RecoN. Mobility advantage on the side of the blue player here. Relatively even trade in the end, but that is good for RecoN because he still has a functional fishing economy, whereas for Garnath, not so much.
But Garnath's now up in Castle Age, Lidakor. You gotta worry, he could build galleys. I'm never gonna get tired of mocking how bad galleys are. I mean, honestly.
It's a safe bet to say that he didn't go up for the Galleasses. It's just gonna be for Royal Bloodlines. Now, he is also going for some demolition ships, and if he could sneak one past the lines of RecoN, he could snipe quite a lot of fish. Where's the demo? Coming out. It's coming out to the back once again.
Hello. See if Garnath can get it in for free, or it's going to be blocked out with the Hawks on approach. Meanwhile, in the mid-map, Knights are starting to move out. Now remember, it was a Royal Institute choice by Garnath, so he can eventually escalate and then go for Royal Bloodlines. It will be scary, but for the time being, he feels like he needs more food to get those Knights online. Boar is definitely the way to do it, especially when RecoN gives so much. Wait, did he? Oh my God, no, no. Please stop. Please.
I think he misclicked the army. Ooh, demo. Nope.
Not a chance.
Denied.
What
I think he misclicked the army
ship.
on the boar. And the army was just chilling while the villagers were getting slain by the boar. Sag.
You know what else is Sag? Here's a thought for you. Once the French get past feudal age, they have nothing additional in water that they want.
But they have galleasses, KP.
I mean, the key word is in the spelling of the words, right? Like, but demo ships kind of suck as well, right? Like, the Hawks can snipe you out before you can do anything. It's just, oh, man.
It's a counter unit.
Okay. What does it counter? Your own economy?
Poor little demos. Missing the days when demos were actually tactical nukes, not gonna lie.
Oh my God. I mean, it was absurd, but in a good way, you know? It felt good how absurd they were. And I'm just saying, my idea to make units swim would have fixed the issue where transpo ship armies get killed. Oh, wait, no. All that effort to get the ball, and for what?
Oh, RecoN is gonna yoink a bunch of villagers out there. At least for Garnath, he gets the scout, and that's vital, because RecoN's army is very slow moving and he started poking around the middle. If he's not cautious, he could be caught off guard. Now we're talking about quite a few archers for Garnath, and his knight numbers are also increasing with Royal Bloodlines, so has to be careful. And as we go deeper into this game, fishing is also going to have a smaller and smaller importance. So the fact that Garnath doesn't have water control is going to be way less insignificant very soon.
Also, here's another thing that's going to make this like knight count differential insignificant. Garnath will always have more knights, realistically, than the English. However, RecoN will apparently always have more wolves. Right? This is the issue I see, is that Garnath can't kill Eco with his knights, but RecoN is going to have a field day in the French base, especially now that they've gone for free TCs.
Yeah, Garnath needs to get some walls up as well, because RecoN started dropping stables, so you gotta be cautious not to get raided yourself. If Garnath walls himself up, I think he's gonna be in a decent position. He's on 3 TCs, so he's gonna have a decent eco escalation, especially because he managed to idle the entire fishing eco of RecoN here with a single Hulk.
Definitely infuriating. Of course, the good news for RecoN is he probably should be switchering over to a few farms by now, just prepping for a later time in the game, but definitely catches him at the wrong time. You can see that, and the way it's impacted his income, actually. Like, maybe not as high as it could be if the fishing was unharassed.
Sneaky, sneaky is the Hulk.
Oh my god.
RecoN is not gonna find him. Oh.
Did he? No, he sees it. He knows.
Oh, he spotted him. He's also moving out, though.
Goose is cooked.
You gotta be cautious. He's moving out with his army.
RecoN, can he defend this? Plenty of spears and lombos in line formation as well. Love that detail. Just maximizes distance at all times between him and the enemy. And Garnath, I mean, you can ambitiously try to burn through, but no, you are not getting through that wall quick enough.
Oh, yeah. There is no way RecoN's gonna have enough to hold that. Now, keep being dropped in the middle here.
Ooh.
This could be massive. If RecoN can solidify that position, he takes away both large gold mines from his opponent, plus also extends his network of castles aura, unlocks the network of citadels bonus as well with the tech. That castle could be a game changer here for RecoN.
In conjunction with something else. Someone else I'd love to see RecoN do is if he actually stonewalls the south side, because then there's no risk.
Yep.
You can just push all your army in the center, and you don't have to worry about Garnath going towards your base, right? Because he won't be able to go on the flank.
Yeah, especially because now Garnath is going to have the discounted knights thanks to the keep bonus. So we're going to see that knight count increase from 17 to like 25, 30 very soon. And you don't want those knights blasting their way through the walls because your army is so slow moving that you won't be able to catch them.
Absolutely. Oh my god, this Hulk is... is this I think this is actually the same Hulk from before.
It is.
It's staying alive. I'll give it... It's not really doing much yet, but it's staying alive.
He's just singing I Will Survive non-stop.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the end of an era. Once I'm gone, the long legacy of French Hulks is done with. This is the moment in history where they sold their entire navy.
Garnath is shifting most of his eco towards the corner, realizing that the shoreline may be lost, but this could be his window to a counterattack. RecoN might not be able to push deep here, whereas for Garnath, he could use his mobility and just go through the walls, hit the eco straight away.
Yeah, he's on the way. Will he skirt the vision? No, he's going to go inside of it, so RecoN does see. He's already on his way home as well. Meanwhile, that one bloody Hulk somehow, some way, has stayed alive this entire time. Flash comes out in the reinforcements. That means Garnath's plan is revealed, though, and he's going to dive towards the keep. Attack speed aura is going to come out. A decent trade still for Garnath, but costs him a little bit less for his gluttony. In fact, he's going to commit now. Starts to spread out due to the Royal Bloodlines. Mangonel shots coming in on the archers, and Spearman getting decent value due to the attack speed buffer, but these are Royal Bloodline Knights. However, that is not going to be good enough to beat the attack speed of the English. He's going to trade out the army, and I definitely think RecoN got the better exchange in terms of raw eco cost here.
For sure he did. Attack aura coming in clutch here for the Spearman. Now Longbows still have to stand their ground against the Knights, and the Knights keep being flooded by Garnath, but he's low on gold. I'm not sure how long he can sustain this, and indeed, value destroyed seems much better here for RecoN. Garnath will be forced to retreat, and that could be the end of the line here for him. That could be the end of the story for Garnath in Road to Red Bull Wololo.
It's looking catastrophic right now. He's still got a big eco on land behind this, but RecoN is matching it and now exceeding in military presence. Starts to move in. If he walls this base, if he blocks him in, Garnath has no choice but a direct fight, and we just saw what a direct fight means for him. Even with raw bloodlines on these French Knights, they are no match for the English spear.
Yeah, now the flood comes in here from RecoN. He still has to be cautious, most of his army being longbows, but he's realizing that the only unit that Garnath has on the field, really, is just Knights, so Mass Spearman is gonna work wonders over here, now threatening the farming eco of Garnath as well on the right flank.
Especially love the Mango. Got rid of a decent amount of those archers, so he couldn't even clean up the spears quick enough to make it a justifiable trade. Now, these choke points, it means that the Lombos can stand their ground. Arbaletier in small quantities aren't going to cut it. And you can see he's trying to quickly get the defenses up. Keep drop is going to be the choice by Garnath. That will prevent a flank around, and it means the RecoN is probably going to have to take that slower, more typical approach we see out of the English.
Garnath needs time above all. He needs the time to reorganize his army, possibly take a good fight though. Not a lot of spears on the battlefield here.
I think enough though. The Longbows are taking out the Arbaletier. The Knights are now coming in. This keep might not go up quick enough. He needs to just flood more Knights and throw them away to buy time.
Yeah, he needs to pull more villagers here. You don't want to throw away your Knights.
Well, too late for that. Already done. Practical Knight's gone, and that means the Longbows can move in. Mistakes have been made here. Villagers being healed up by one monk might not be good enough. He has to back away, and there's enough Longbows here even to put a dent into the Knights, so they can stand their ground. This keep is going to be a fail.
Yeah, you need to pull way more villagers for that. You need that keep. That could be the key to your survival if you're Garnath, and he is pulling the boys to finish it.
Oh my god! It's Lemmings! They're going towards their death, but they will at least achieve the goal. Keep will go up, it will stabilize Garnath, but it's a pricey one in the process.
Yeah, he lost all the Knights he had. So many villagers had to be pulled, so many gave their life for that keep. But right now, the only thing that Garnath has his eyes set up on is somehow surviving. He needs to buy time for his mangonels to arrive. He needs to buy time to get the Knight numbers back up. But it's looking difficult. RecoN is closing in on PopCap, and once that happens, he can flirt with the idea of Imperial Age, and he still has both of the large gold mines under his control. And if there is a single resource without which the French can't survive, it is the gold. Garnath is going to start running low on it very soon.
It's going to be problematic for him. Meanwhile, on the other side, RecoN has changed tune here. He actually went for a transpo ship, so it looks like he's going to go for the sacred sites. Good wind condition to target. Still needs to wall that south side, though. We're going to see the mistake made here. RecoN,
oh my heart,
now is walling it, but Garnath was already on his way around
my
before
heart!
night.
The trade ships!
What? As
Finally!
the English? As the English? What?
It is such an underrated element of this map, and we've been screaming about this for months. Naval trade is brutally powerful, and we know that RecoN loves his own trade. That naval trade, I don't know how Garnath is going to compensate for that. It might just be too overpowered to deal with as it is.
RecoN, king of trade once again. Only he would decide as the English with Imperial Age on the way. It's not quite enough gold. I want more gold.
He's gonna get it. Naval trade is brutally powerful, ladies and gents. That travel distance that you're looking at is gonna yield him 400 plus gold per trip.
Yeah, the ship pays for itself at that point on the first trip. It's incredibly effective. Compare that to like caravan trades. You know, they're not as quick. They'll return their investment, but they're not as quick to get across the map. Spears bracing. Not enough Knights still. Garnath killed half of them to go on a raid that never actually amounted to anything. And look at that. The wood and the gold. Mwah! RecoN already teching up. Imperial Age is coming through soon. And at that stage, Garnath might be just diced out of this game.
Yeah, Sacred Sites are also being controlled by RecoN, so now Garnath is on a timer. 29 army against 61. His opponent going into Imperial with naval trade. Feels like an impossible task here for Garnath, and it wouldn't be surprising to see him throwing the towel once he sees the Imperial Age complete for RecoN.
More way for RecoN to potentially turn this around. At least the wall exposure is open on the south side. Garnath playing down there, but imagine this, RecoN qualifying to the biggest LAN in Age of Empires history as his home country Civ. An unorthodox way to say is going to happen as well. It's not often that we say English is the turnaround Civ that really wins a series, but is looking like it really could here. Keep now being dropped by Garnath to try and get more gold. You mentioned he needed it. Knights get the counter him out there. Meanwhile, in the center, Lombo's somewhat exposed, but Spearman are coming through soon. Also, the upgrades are on the way. Garnath soon will no longer get good trades.
Yeah, he won't. Upgrades are now coming in. Network of Citadels online as well. Spearman still on the battlefield. And Garnath is losing what is little left out of his army. He is going to push this force back for the time being, but this is just temporary success. Sustainability is not even a distant dream for him right now.
Finally realized that he could kill the trebuchets instead of the infantry. A good choice there. But in the meantime, look how his eco is being shut down. The Knights are thrown away to idle Garnath out. Look at his gold. 400 gold a minute. That's only due to the relics. He can't afford to replace these Knights, let alone the Arbaletier on top of that.
Not at all. And now bombard emplacements coming out on those towers. Those are going to swing the battle even more so in the favor of RecoN. He's got great map control, and don't forget, 8 minutes on that sacred site countdown. Garnath needs to find a way to decap one of those 2 sacred sites in 8 minutes time. Feels like an impossible task.
And that's the beautiful thing, right? Usually a high-level play, instead of just countering a play and getting 1 move, you get 2 out of 1. What RecoN done here by taking war control, he got the sacred site, but then he also got Royal Britannia online with the commerce, right? The trade ships going out. It just means he's getting the double whammy, and it's never going to be harassed because Garnath lacks the gold to ever get back on water now. Arbitrary in the meantime trying to block the walls from going up, but they are going to be exchanged away by the longbows, and spears will probably be remaining at the end of it, which means that Garnath will once again have to retreat with the knights. Not that he has many to retreat with.
Yeah, he's really trying to push into the sacred side, but feels impossible now, crawling up to the spring also try and snipe the trebuchet, but his knight numbers are down to 6, and everything that he needs to capture that central area, the knights, the trebuchets, even the springolds, those cost gold, something he no longer has.
I mean, I'll give those knights credit. They survived longer than you maybe expect, but at the end of the day, what do they do now? There's just such a small force of troops. It feels like he can't do much, especially if RecoN keeps fleshing out this proxy base, right? He won't have to run this Congo line of death across the map that you can exploit. Oh god, the cannon. Oh no, please, no.
Oh, I think he can reach them.
He can, it just did. It slapped a few off the corner there.
Oh,
like, get
ugly.
off my gold, get off my lawn.
I wonder if Garnath is gonna notice that.
He will when he's running out of gold.
Yeah.
When he looks up and sees that he's got no one left working on gold, he'll notice.
That tower has been attacking his buildings for quite a while, so notifications have been going on for a long time. He won't even notice the new notification because of the villagers, and the villagers will all be slain on the gold.
The good news is that the mining camp's on the north side, so the other half of the villages are safe.
That is true. That's the silver lining, I guess. If you want to look for positives in Garnath's position, that's probably the only one that you're gonna find, because everything else is rather disappointing for him right now, to say the least.
Yeah, it's a good thing it's not a silver lining, it's a gold lining. But could you imagine working on that gold line, right? You're just mining and the guy next to you dies, and you just can we think about the lives of NPCs for a moment here? Like, they just have to keep mining. Nothing's wrong here. I'm not gonna die. Everything is great.
Well, strictly speaking, unless you're being fired upon, you will never die, though. So you never die of old age. That's the silver lining for their life.
That's the upside of being an NPC. You never die of old age until a sick dev codes it in. The psychos.
Or until you get hit by a cannonball. Boar joined the fun even. Even the Vylaf is now against Garnath. I don't know, KP.
The boars here, the monks here, the archers here. It sounds like a bad feudal joke coming out. I think you're about to say, I don't know, KP. How does Garnath win this? His answer is to drop Imperial Age. I hope that is a red pass, though. It's not. He's actually going College of Artillery.
I mean, what do you get from the red pass right now? RecoN has no desire to destroy you. RecoN, all he wants to do is just do what the English do best. Sit on a certain location and defend with the network of citadels, something that he's only just now grabbing. He was winning these battles with network of castles only, not even network of citadels. Garnath, he's gonna have so limited time to push this.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind, this keeps going down. They're not just a loss of defenses for the French. They're a loss of discounts on that gold, especially, that you have limited quantities of. And are gathering limited quantities of because you're still losing more villages.
Oh, it's gonna be so annoying indeed. And you need every bit of discount that you can have because you only have 4 knights on the battlefield. Most of your army is just archers right now, but look at what RecoN is doing. He's going men-at-arms.
And he's also extending that attack speed aura that's now being juiced up to network of citadels. If Garnath could not win a fight against Normie network of castles, what chance he got against this? The surge comes through. The overwhelming force starting to breach into the base of Garnath, and even the keeps will not keep them at bay. Hand cannoneer transition coming in behind this from RecoN. Yes, Garnath might survive the first wave, but RecoN's only getting warmed up.
And cannoneers with the attack buffer from the English are just deadly. It's not like it's really needed for RecoN. He's just in such a dominant position, but he wants to make sure that this doesn't slip out of his grasp. And there are just very minimal chances left here for Garnath. RecoN, long time overdue to qualify for Heidelberg. He could finally be there in this best of 7, taking game number 5.
going to take a little bit more time. The English, they're slow, they're methodical. Sure, he's thrown away an army, but folks, it's the trebuchets behind this that make the difference. Actually, just look north of here. See the keep's gone down, see the stables have gone down, and see the timer has now gone down to under 3 minutes until a sacred site victory for RecoN. Sure, Garnath survives the first onslaught, but A, he needs to come out, and B, with what army?
Yeah, that's right. He has to be the aggressor, yet he's still struggling to be the defender even, barely holding on against those assaults, and he's got no tools to push this one with. No heavy siege on the field, no trebuchets, no cannons. He only has a covering, but that's not going to help against the towers, and he's going to get forced back into his base once again. No chance to break out, no chance to decap the sacred site.
This is done. That's too many horsemen. It's going to overwhelm the arbitrary, might even get the cover in the process. This is it, RecoN. I think he's actually done it. I just don't see a way Garnath can hold anymore. Just over 2 minutes away from a sacred site victory. You're about to be reduced to under 10 military pot cap. Even the Culverin's going to go down, your favorite mascot. And at that point, there is no stopping the red tide. RecoN is gonna make it to Wololo. The final member has been assembled, and it's another Brit.
What a weekend here for RecoN. For a moment, it seemed like he could miss out on the LAN, but something that's long overdue. He's going to get the ticket to Heidelberg. Garnath falls in a 4-1 fashion to RecoN here, but terrific performance this weekend by Garnath. He made it into the top 8 here in the last chance qualifiers. By far his biggest success in his history as a competitive Age of Empires 4 player. A bittersweet ending to this weekend for him. He has taken away a game from RecoN. He had a really good Saturday in these last chance qualifiers, but failed to take down RecoN, failed to secure the ticket to Heidelberg for himself. He's gonna have to look at these games and think what went wrong and watch how RecoN is going to do in the Heidelberg LAN. Terrific performance by RecoN, takes the set and gets the ticket to Heidelberg.